Morning, everybody. I'm Mike McGrath. I'm superintendent of the police department. I'd like to introduce some people that are in the room. At the front of the room, we have Captain Frank Thomas and Captain Gene Pasternak, Lieutenant John Tucci, Lieutenant Jim Batinger, and Lieutenant Pete Sharp. Also from Staff and Inspections, but not in the front of the room, Sergeant Charles Mayer is here, and he helps put together this program as well. So I want to point out Chuck as well. The missing is Lieutenant John String. He did want to attend, but he's out ill, but he would be here today. From our Board of Commissioners, we have Commissioner Scott Zeloff, who's also the chair of the Police Committee. And our Township Manager, Ernie McNeely, as well. And many other members of staff are seated here. I see Jeff Smith, our Assistant Township Manager, in the back room. Thank you for the staff that are attending. Throughout the room, we have members of the police department, in particular from John Kuvik's unit. We have the detective unit sitting over there, as they typically do, in the back corner of the room. I asked them to come closer to John, and somebody did comment about, were you allowed to boo? But I won't point out who that might have been, John. You can guess, probably, right? So at this point, I'd like to ask Scott and Ernie if they would join us at the front of the room. And we were asked by Lori, when we do speak, that we do so near the microphone. If you'd like to, there is the portable as well. I'd like to welcome everybody, especially family and friends, fellow officers attending today's badge presentation for promotion of John Kuvik. John's here with his family, his wife Natalie, his children Allison, Aubrey, and Amelia. One of his daughters, Abigail, couldn't make it. She's in school, and he wanted to take her out of high school, right? So we are here today to make a badge presentation to John, who's now assuming a new leadership role in the police department, having recently been approved for promotion to the rank of sergeant. Additionally, we'll be making presentation of commendations for outstanding police work by several officers in attendance today, along with citizen commendations to local residents for their assistance in helping to keep our community safe. More about those after the badge ceremony. I'd like to provide you a brief summary of John's service to our community, and then we'll have remarks from Commissioner and our Township Manager as well. So John joined the police department August 17th, 2006. While serving as a patrol officer, he was a field training officer, and he made platoon investigator May of 2015. He was reassigned to the detective unit as an investigator in November of 2016. He has earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in criminal justice from Temple. And John, as I said, shares with his wife Natalie 4 beautiful children. He is the recipient of 2 commendations and 4 letters of appreciation from the community. He was nominated for Officer of the Quarter and Officer of the Year in 2012, and was named Officer of the Quarter for the 3rd quarter of 2013. During his assignment in the investigations unit, he has handled numerous significant criminal investigations. Everyone that knows John is aware of his strong work ethic, that he is detail-oriented, extremely reliable, and takes the time to provide guidance to coworkers conducting criminal investigations. That was particularly noted by a number of people we spoke to when we were going through the process. He has consistently demonstrated the skills and ability to handle difficult situations with minimal supervision and make sound decisions. We expect that he will quickly assimilate the skills and responsibility of his new assignment. So at this point, I'd like to ask Commissioner Zeloff to step forward.
Thank you, Superintendent. I'm Scott Zeloff. It's my honor to serve as chair of the Police Committee. in Lower Merion Township, and I've served as a commissioner for a number of years, and it is my great pleasure to congratulate Officer John Kuvik on his promotion to sergeant. That was just recently approved by the Board of Commissioners in our public meeting, and you've heard from the superintendent all the reasons why Officer Kuvik is highly qualified, and congratulations to your family for this promotion. I'll also take a moment to congratulate the next round of this morning, the citizen commendations, the commendation of merit, and essentially thanking our police officers for their great work in two incidents, one of which involved two citizens. One of those citizens is a staff member of the township, not a member of the police department. More about that to come. But in that incident, officers apprehended two suspects who were on foot trying to flee, formed a perimeter, and they were arrested and were found to have been, they have been charged with a carjacking that occurred earlier. And then the other incident, which will be recognizing Officer Eric Curcio and those in his team who helped de-escalate a man who was armed, who would not give up his weapon, and using the training of de-escalation to have this so that citizen dropped his weapon, and there was no discharging of weapons, and something that for which all of you are trained, but when it occurs, it must be a very scary situation. And so it is so appropriate that we commend Officer Eric Curcio and all those who supported him in that incident, because had it gone awry and made the news, that would have been terrible for all of us. But it didn't, and it didn't make the news, but we're recognizing it appropriately here today, because something like this is so important given what goes on around the country, and to de-escalate a situation because of how well the members of this police department are trained is something that we must recognize, and we're doing so today. Recently, District Attorney Kevin Steele also recognized and awarded several members of the Lower Merion Police Department for prior incidents that were recognized in a ceremony here. And so recognizing the dedicated and effective policing by the Lower Merion Police Department is so important, and we congratulate all of you. Thank you.
And Manager McNeil.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, all, and thank you, everyone, for being here today. This is one of the most pleasurable things we do, is when we promote somebody or swear in new officers or issue commendations. But John, congratulations for your promotion. I don't have to tell the officers in the room, but for the rest of you, sergeants are so important in an organization like a police department of our size. Sergeants are our leaders out there on the street because you guys work all sort of different shifts and times, and sergeants are the glue that really keeps the police department together. So that's a rank that you are joining, John. And I'm sure you'll be a leader. Leadership, if you read books, and there's probably thousands of them on leadership, but it really is a skill that can be learned and acquired. It's something that it requires integrity, communication, commitment, being proactive, being responsible, and giving credit where credit is due, and investing in your people. And I'm sure you're going to do that as a new sergeant. So welcome to the ranks of sergeant, and I also want to say congratulations to those who are getting commendations and awards today. I've read the summaries that Superintendent McGrath prepared, and they're certainly deserved. So thanks again, and congratulations, John.
At this point, John, would you and your family please join us up front? So who gets to do the honors? Okay. You never know. Sometimes we've had the children do it. This can be the interesting part. Kelley, if you would please present your husband with his new badge. And now, besides the Board of Commissioners making this official previously, we now make this official with the presentation of the badge. Congratulations, Sergeant Kuvik. Eric did warn us if we clapped, that would occur. Of course, this concludes the presentation of the Sergeant's Badge to John. At this point, we have several commendations to present. So, will the following officers join us in the front of the room? Many of them are here, but I'm going to mention everybody's name who will receive these commendations. Those who couldn't make it, and of course, will receive them at another time. Officer Keith, Officer Muller, Officer Tucciarone, Officer Kirkpatrick, Officer Muller, Officer Curcio, and please bring Ito with you, Officer Mateen, and Officer Swain. Okay. It was previously noted a little bit about these incidents, but I'm going to give a little bit more detail, in particular for the two commendations. They're going to different officers. And then, of course, the last ones will be two citizen commendations we'll do separately. So for the first one, on Saturday, April 24th, 2021, Officer Eric Curcio, along with other members of Platoon 2, responded to Belmont Hills on the report of a man with a gun. When officers arrived, they found an intoxicated man standing on the front porch of an occupied home holding a handgun. The man was distraught and was trying to get into the locked home. Officers ordered the subject to drop the gun, but he refused. Instead, he told the officers they would have to shoot him. As officers began to control the scene, these officers at the front here, Officer Curcio moved directly across the street from the subject and began to communicate with him. The man was uncooperative at first, even refused to provide his name. Eric relentlessly attempted to start a conversation, a dialogue with the distressed man in the hopes of resolving the incident peacefully. As other officers held the perimeter, ready to act if needed, Eric negotiated with the man, eventually convincing him to talk, and then finally to set down the gun. The entire event lasted for 10 long minutes, and during countless moments, it could have turned tragic. I know everybody here in command staff, myself, watched the various body camera recordings of that incident, and we know for intimately how difficult that situation was and how it could have turned tragic had it not gone the way it did because of the work of everybody at the front of the room. The man was taken into custody without incident or injury to anybody involved. While many of Officer Curcio's actions were textbook de-escalation, he also displayed skills and experience that can't be taught. He tactfully opened the conversation with the subject who was suffering and in crisis, His ability to build rapport with the man quickly was effective and led to this positive outcome. Too many events across this nation have shown how dangerous and volatile interactions like this can end up. It's clear that Officer Curcio was not only in the right place at the right time, he was the right person for this task. Officer Curcio's ability to work through this intense situation and the effort he provided deserve the gratitude and praise presented in merit commendation. Eric, you step forward. Ito can come too. Eric, congratulations once again. Terrific job. He wants to know where's his? He wants his too? We'll give him a moment. Okay. Additionally, due to the excellent coordinated teamwork, as noted, again, the man was taken into custody and he was given treatment that he desperately needed. The teamwork and assistance of the following officers was critical to the successful outcome of this incident. More importantly, the safety of all the innocent bystanders in the community was ensured. The officers involved displayed tremendous skill and commitment in the face of potential danger. Lower Merion Police Department proudly honors these officers with a unit commendation. And as you hand them out, I'll read off the officers' names. Officer William Keefe, Officer Matthew Muller, Officer Vincenzo Tucciarone, Officer Michael Kirkpatrick, Officer Alexander Muller, Officer Raoof Mateen, and Officer Darren Swain. Let's show our appreciation for these officers. Someone will be staying up. I'll read off the officers that we involved in the next commendation. Either stay here or join us, and that'd be Sergeant Michael Keenan, Darren Brow, Bill Keith, who's up here. Bill, stay here. Vincenzo as well. Sergeant Jo Pepitone is not in the room. Eric is here. He's going to be getting a second commendation. Michael Kirkpatrick, Austin Urkuski, Paul Archambault, Dan Gilbert, there we are, and Raoof Mateen. And I need to point out that retired member of the police department, Michael Gilbert, is attending tonight, Dan's father. Or today, not tonight. On the evening of December 18th, 2020, a resident of Belmont Hills noticed a stranger with a flashlight rummaging through her neighbor's vehicle. She continued watching as the man walked through other parked vehicles on the street, pulling on the door handles. He then went to a running Jeep where a second man was waiting, and the two drove away from the scene. The witness alerted the neighbor, and together the two began to drive the neighborhood looking for the Jeep. Soon, they located the Jeep at the Belmont Hills Elementary School, and they called police. Several officers from Platoon 2 quickly responded. The driver ignored police commands, and the Jeep drove off the school's parking lot. After circling the lot, the suspects drove over a curb and rammed the gate on the school grounds. Officers soon found the Jeep disabled and abandoned on the property. A perimeter was quickly established. The two men were located walking away from the scene. One subject was immediately apprehended, but the other ran from police. The platoon's K-9 team, Eric, tracked the second subject along a an area with adverse terrain where he was found hiding. The ensuing investigation would determine that the two arrestees had committed an armed carjacking in Ballackinwood earlier that night. The handgun used and other contraband was later located in the area of the Belmont Hills incident. It was also found that the Jeep used by the men had been stolen from a residence in Ballackinwood earlier that month. So while we hand out the commendations to our officers, we'd like to award you these commendations, unit citation for the work on this incident. Again, Sergeant Michael Keenan, Officer Darren Brow, Officer William Keith, Officer Vincenzo Tucciarone. Sergeant Jo Pepitone will get hers later. Again, Curcio. Officer Michael Kirkpatrick, Officer Austin Urkuski, Officer Paul Archambault, Officer Daniel Gilbert, and Officer Raoof Mateen. The teamwork and actions of the officers involved exemplified their professionalism and dedication to duty, leading to the award of unit commendation. Let's give them a hand. You're good, Eric, so is you. Lastly, we want to honor the two citizens that I mentioned in the description of the previous incident. Would Dorothy, who prefers Dottie Coleman, and Jody Kelley join us now? I gave a description of the incident. I just want to mention that a couple other comments. On that evening, Dottie was the first to notice the man with the rummaging through the neighbor's vehicle with the flashlight. She then alerted her neighbor, Jody Kelley, and together the two began to drive the neighbor looking for the Jeep. Now at this point, we asked the citizens not try to intervene or take the job of police. They then did the right thing. Once locating the Jeep, they called the police. Those of you who know Jody, and I don't really know Dottie that well, might have thought it might have gone in a different direction. However, the alertness and diligent response by these two residents led police to the apprehension of these dangerous criminals. As a result, a crime spree was ended, and the arrestees are facing felony charges. Lower Merion Police Department would like to recognize and thank Dottie and Jody with citizen commendations.
Thank you.
So this is indeed a pleasure to be able to do a promotion and certainly recognize all the officers we were just talking about and all their great actions. And that is just, 2 or 3 incidents that we were involved in the last, year and a half or so. It's been difficult with COVID to get people together to do these types of things, but it's important to recognize that not only do our officers do exemplary work and deserve these commendations, but they do this every single day. And not everyone's going to get a commendation for doing the kind of work that we do. But when it particularly is seen as a step above, we certainly want to recognize that. And once again, sorry, Ito and Eric, let's give everybody a hand. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you.